Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's James, JT at the movies. Happy New Year to you. I'm a little bit late with this one, aren't I, guys? We're halfway through the month now. What can I say? Life gets hectic sometimes. It was the first Christmas and New Year with baby Alexander, and I've had a hectic work schedule. Laura's maternity leave's coming towards its end, and we're having to sort out, you know, all the logistics of her going back to work, and it's just been a busy few weeks. So I've not had the opportunity to make a video until now, but I have a couple of days off work midweek, and I thought, you know what, this pile of goodies that I've got here that I got for Christmas and that I've bought and whatever else over the last month or so is really starting to stack up. So it's high time I showed you what I've picked up as well. I've got some other videos in the works as well. I'm going to try and shoot 3 or 4 videos in succession while I'm here, so that I've got a few things to sort of feed out to you over the next few weeks. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. We're here to talk about everything that I've picked up or received very gratefully as a Christmas present since December of 2024, and at the moment we're mid-January 2025. Where's the month going? So we'll start with some DVDs. So there's DVDs again this month, folks. So I actually wouldn't have minded this one on Blu-ray, but you can only get it, as far as I've been able to come across, on DVD. And it's another one that TikTok has recommended to me by showing me little clips of it here and there. And it's Alan Rickman and Mos Def, I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, in Something the Lord Made. And it looks to be a medical drama and looks really good from the clips that I've seen. I wasn't too sure about this one because I'd never played the games, and it got an absolute slating at the box office and the critics and whatever else. But my brother-in-law, who's really into the games, said that it was absolutely fantastic and was, you know, relatively accessible for somebody that didn't know the lore and whatever else, and that I would really enjoy it because I enjoy my adventure films, and sort of he said that it had a similar sort of vibe to Guardians of the Galaxy, and I can kind of sense that from looking at the cover, but I'm yet to sit down and watch Borderlands. The next one to show you is one that's been on my sort of to watch list for a while, probably for the year or so that it's been out, but I've been waiting for it to drop in price, and it is Laura Linney and Others in The Miracle Club. This next one was a Christmas present from Laura. We couldn't get the Blu-ray of it, but do you know what? The DVD held up absolutely fine. I think there's been a decent restoration on these series of films that Studio Canal have popped out. And it is Peter Ustinov in Evil Under the Sun. And it's the second Poirot movie that he did, but the third in the series, because he took over after Albert Finney only did Murder on the Orient Express. The next one, I didn't realise it didn't have this until I went to go look for it to put it on the other week. So I've been on the lookout for it cheap, and I was in CEX the other day, and they had it for £1.50. It is the Queen and Freddie Mercury biopic, Bohemian Rhapsody. This one I picked up with some Christmas money that my granddad gave me. They didn't have the Blu-ray in stock, but I figured that I would be more than happy to take the gamble on the DVD. It's not a film I've seen. I've only ever seen the god-awful remake, and it is the original Wicker Man with Christopher Lee. And then this last one I picked up when we went to Harrogate at the weekend just gone. I played a gig over there with mine and Laura's duo, and it was a tea time gig. So we decided that we'd make an afternoon of it and go and hit the shops and have a wander around before playing the show. And CEX was there, and this was £1. And again, it's one of those that I've been seeing clips of on TikTok, in particular the opening scene where he scams the 2 scammer kids out of the money that they weren't going to give him. But it's Jesse Eisenberg in 30 minutes or less. I enjoyed this film. I'm going to talk about it in a video that I've got planned for February, where I'm talking about double bills, because there's another film that I think that would sort of pair up with quite well, that's sort of quite thematically similar. But it's just a sort of, you know, indie action adventure sort of heist movie with you know, a lot of comedy elements thrown in, but I really enjoyed it. The ending, a little bit of a cop-out, but you could kind of see it coming a mile off, so it's what it is. Swiftly moving on, let's dive into some Blu-rays. The first one that I'm going to show you arrived in the post just yesterday. It's Clint Eastwood's latest and possibly final film, Juror Number 2. I love a good legal thriller. They're actually probably my favourite sort of, you know, sort of mini genre of film, if you like, genre within a genre. And for me, Clint Eastwood is one of those filmmakers and actors that can really do no wrong. So I'm really interested to see his take on this and just sort of see where the story goes, because as I understand, it's got quite an interesting premise, and I don't want to say too much in case I know something that's potentially a spoiler. But looking forward to checking it out, probably later on this evening, actually. The next one to show you is a much needed upgrade. I'm sort of on a mission to get as many of Arnie's back catalogue in high def as I can. And looking over at my Arnie collection just over there, I'm a good way down the line. Some of the more recent ones I'm maybe not too bothered about upgrading. Things like I'm looking at Sabotage and Aftermath and things like that. Be fine with those on DVD. But the classics, and I would say that while this is one of the weaker classics, it is an Arnie classic, and that is End of Days. So it's good to finally have this on a UK Blu-ray. I know there's been like an American one, and I think possibly a European import of sorts for years, but it's always great to have a UK one. Picked this one up mostly for Laura. All I understand is that it's a remake of a film that's about 2 or 3 years old. It's put out by Blumhouse, James McAvoy in Speak No Evil. So like I said, picked that one up really for the missus, so we'll be watching that one, I would imagine, very soon. This next one I picked up because the premise and the fact that it's got Sir Ian McKellen in it were all I needed to know. It's The Critic. I was able to pick most of the ones I've just shown you up, apart from Juror number 2 up with my with Christmas money from my granddad. So thank you very much, Grandad. Much appreciated. I picked this one up in early December because I wanted to replace the DVD. I had the DVD for years, and it was one of those films I was going to get round to watching. Finally got round to watching it, and I think for those of us that still watch DVDs, I imagine what I'm about to say will be a fairly common occurrence. Probably a good 70% of them are still perfectly watchable on modern TVs of a reasonable size. I've got a 55-inch in front of me here. And then you get that 30% where the transfers just doesn't hold up, you know, and the standard def really is you know, sort of prominent with it, and the upscaling that we've got on players and consoles just can't do anything with it. And that was the case for Hereditary. So we managed to watch it, but it really was, you know, sort of took you out of it a little bit how poor the DVD quality was. And I knew that it was a film I'd want to come back to after watching it. So I was like, right, well, that's an obvious upgrade for me, is that. So the next one to show you is a film that was rather controversial, I'd say, on its release in a sense of the word. So much so that I actually avoided seeing it at the cinemas when it came out, because the reviews were so polarising that I really thought I wasn't going to enjoy this film, because I didn't enjoy the first one on the first viewing, and it took for me to watch the first Joker film at home a couple of times to really sort of get into the aesthetic and the feel of the story, because I went in expecting one thing and got something else. I think because I went into this one, Joker Folie à Deux, with, you know, sort of expectations lowered from those polarizing reviews, and also understanding the aesthetic and the world that Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix, you know, and everybody else involved had sort of built up. I actually had a blast with this film. Laura hated it. We sat down here and we watched it, and she was just like, that makes a mockery of the first one, and why did they bother? And she was really that end of the scale. And I bloody loved it. I was really surprised that I did as well. I thought that the Lady Gaga character was a really interesting take on Harley Quinn, and how that ended up sort of playing out at the end was I thought was, you know, a really different take on it. And then what they did at the end with the ending, I can absolutely understand why that would be polarising. And I can understand with fans of other parts of the Batman franchise not liking what they've done, because it maybe makes an implication that, you know, something over in one of these other films is actually, you know, this is a precursor to it, sort of thing. You know, and I didn't necessarily read into it that far, but I've seen YouTube videos and whatever else sort of, you know, suggesting that might be the case. But yeah, I had a bloody great time with Joker Folie à Deux. I was really surprised, but really glad that I did. The next one that I've picked up again is one for me and Laura to enjoy at some point. I only picked this up this weekend again when we were out shopping in Harrogate. Laura's watched the second season of Squid Game. I've yet to find the time, but I've heard that it's fantastic, so I'm going to make some time to sit down and watch it soon. But on the back of that, Laura really got a sort of a South Korean sort of cinema sort of fire ignited in her, if you like, and we ended up sort of revisiting a couple of the classics, namely Parasite and Train to Busan, and it made me think that actually I'd really like to explore some more of that sort of genre and, you know, that sort of area of the world's film. And so did a quick sort of bit of a Google search, and one of the ones that came up as a sort of a big recommendation was I Saw the Devil. So I picked up the Blu-ray, and I'm very much looking forward to watching it soon. The next one to show you was one that I picked up because I basically saw the trailer on a DVD. You remember when they used to do that, and they used to stick the trailers before the films? They don't really get that much anymore on modern releases. I can't even remember what it was I was watching now. I'm just looking at my pile of what I watched. I'll tell you exactly what it was. It was the when we rewatched Train to Busan. I'm looking at my pile of what I've recently watched over by the TV, and it showed the trailer for this film, Gold, starring Matthew McConaughey. And I've seen this on shelves for years and years and years, and I've just never got round to watching it. You know, I picked it up to watch. I don't know why. I just thought that, oh, it, you know, won't be my cup of tea, or it'll be just sort of, you know, done what we all do. We made an assumption, judged the book by its cover. Anyway, the trailer absolutely grabbed me. Now, was the film as good as the trailer? No, but it was still really enjoyable. And then when I found out that it was a true story, and I could sort of do the whole, you know, watching it and then doing the Wikipedia and reading the articles about what really happened and where the film takes liberties and, you know, what happened to the real people involved, sort of thing, that only made it more fascinating. So I would say, if you can stream that film, or if you can come across it for cheap, I think I got it for £3.50 on Amazon, it's worth a go. And McConaughey's great in it, as he is in pretty much everything that he puts his name and his talent to. So yeah, the last regular Blu-ray to show you was the Christmas present from my mum and her husband. I've been wanting this box set for years. Now, about 2 years ago, myself and Laura did an Alfred Hitchcock and Jimmy Stewart movie marathon, where we watched the 4 films that they collaborated in, and then we also picked 4 other films from each men's respective careers and did like a 2-day or 2.5 days, whatever it ended up being, sort of 12-long movie marathon. We vlogged the whole thing. Do you know where the footage is for that? It's on my iPad waiting to be edited, so at some point you will get a complete blast from the past vlog of me and Laura on a rainy bank holiday weekend watching Alfred Hitchcock and Jimmy Stewart movies. Since that point, I have wanted this box set, but I've never quite been able to sort of bring myself to, you know, pull the trigger and buy it. Anyway, it reduced in price this Christmas season, and my mum was like, "What do you want for Christmas?" And I went, "Well, if you can afford this, I would absolutely adore it." So it is the Alfred Hitchcock collection that has 20 films in it, 20 masterpieces as it puts it. It's got Suspicion, Saboteur, Shadow of Doubt, Rope, Strangers on a Train, I Confess, Dial M for Murder, Rear Window, The Trouble with Harry, my personal favourite, The Man Who Knew Too Much, The Wrong Man, Vertigo, North by Northwest, Psycho, The Birds, Marnie, Torn Curtain, Topaz, Frenzy, and Family Plot. So, I mean, obviously there are so many Hitchcock classics that are out there, but I think that really, like, the greatest hits arguably are in this box set. So I'm absolutely over the moon to have this in my collection, and it'll mean as well that I can retire an awful lot of DVDs that I've got of Hitchcock back there, freeing up some space. And then obviously this box set takes up just a fraction of the space. So thank you so much, Mum, and thank you, Miles, for that. It's a very generous Christmas gift, and I'm very grateful for it. As always with these vlogs, we'll now move on to the boutique stuff, starting with the Blu-rays first. We have got one boutique 4K and one regular 4K to show you today. So the first one I've picked up, I've never seen it before, but I understand it was released as a contemporary and a bit of maybe a competitor for the market of Jaws, and that is Orca the Killer Whale. Picked it up with some Christmas money, wanted to watch it, we'll get round to watching it soon. Picked this next one up. I've seen a lot of people talking about this. Dan over at Dan's Movie Cave, and Carlos, Eastwood for Life, Jeff, 101 Bronson. I think I might have even heard John at Mondo Chelovic talk about this as well. But quite a few in the community have talked about this film. It's Sam Peckinpah's Convoy. Really enjoyed this one. It was like, I bought this again with some Christmas money, and it was the first one that I basically rushed home and put on, and I'd had a great time with it. Really did enjoy it. The next one I've picked up, I didn't have it in the collection, and it's a film that I wanted to watch before I go and see the remake. It is the original Nosferatu. This one was a really great film, and I had no idea that it existed, and I had no idea that the two main people in this film had worked together outside of Shyamalan's The Village. But it is Sigourney Weaver and William Hurt in Eyewitness, and it's also sometimes known as The Janitor. So it's basically a sort of like a murder whodunit. She's the reporter, he's the cleaner that was on duty. He's in love with the reporter, watches her on the TV every day, and lets on that he knows more than he actually does to sort of get in her good graces and basically try and get in bed with her. And then the story sort of goes from there. It was a really good sort of twisty and turny one, and I genuinely didn't work out right until the last minute who the actual killer was. I was only maybe a couple of minutes ahead of the film actually revealing it before I went, oh, of course, it's, you know, but it does quite well with the misdirection sort of thing. It's cheesy, it's, you know, it's daft, it's unbelievable in parts, it's very 80s, but I enjoyed it. It was it was good fun. There's two, it gives you the option to play it as two versions of the film on the disc. It says play as Eyewitness or play as the Janitor. So I watched it as Eyewitness and then went into the play a Janitor version, and I'm not sure if the only difference is that it puts a different title card up at the beginning, but the next time I watch it I'm going to watch the other version and see if there's any, you know, sort of noticeable difference with it or not, whether it's different cuts of the film. But I thought that was a really interesting, you know, sort of little tidbit on a release, really. You know, if it's got international titles, to be able to have your preferred title show up. The next one I picked up, I saw it, and it said Boris Karloff on the front, so I was intrigued. I don't really know too much about Boris Karloff's filmography other than like the Universal monster stuff, but the cover intrigued me. And then when I read the back and it said that it was one of his sort of, you know, final roles, and it's a thriller as well called Targets, put out on the BFI. It was basically all I needed to know to take a punt on it. $7.99 reduced from $17.99. I figured it made sense to do it. And then this one I've been sort of having my eye on for quite a while, and finally decided, you know what, a bit of Christmas money, let's pull the trigger on it. And it's the original Amityville Horror with James Brolin and Margot Kidder. So those are all the boutique Blu-rays, and as I said, there is a boutique 4K to show you, and this was another Christmas present from my lovely Laura. I wasn't going to get this, and then she's like, I really want to get you something else for Christmas. I don't feel like I've got you like a main present, as it were. And so, you know, sort of had a think and said, well, if you can stretch to it, you know, this is 30 quid, and I'd really like it. So it is the 3-disc limited edition set of The Great Escape in 4K. I thought, do I get the Blu-ray? But I've actually already got the Blu-ray of the film, the standard, you know, MGM one that's been out for years, and I think I've still got my like DVD that's in like 4:3 aspect ratio or whatever. But what really drew me to this is obviously a new restoration and a really nice sort of you know, gorgeous box, you know, with the disc inside it and a book, and I think there's the smart cards as well by the looks of it, or maybe a poster. But as well as all that, and a great disc full of bonus features, the third disc is Great Escape 2, The Untold Story, which was the TV movie sequel that they made. So that for me is worth it just on its own, just to be able to get that in 4K. And then the final one to show you was the Christmas present from my sister. I watched the Blu-ray of this when I bought the sequel that came out this year, did a double bill of it, and was really disappointed with how poor the Blu-ray looked. The image quality just really seemed just naff. Is the only way I can describe it, really. So I thought, do you know what, I must upgrade that to the 4K at some point, because I've heard really good things, and that the director Jan de Bon had been able to go back to the original film and sort of tweak some of the graphics and the, you know, the CGI and whatever else to make it sort of look closer to life as to like what the sky would actually do in a real Twister. Doing this quite a lot in this video. I'm talking about the film without showing you it, but yeah, it's the 4K of Twister. But you know, he was able to do that, and I've seen some comparison videos, and so popped it on. Only had a scan through it because obviously I watched the film fairly recently, but it does look a massive improvement. So thank you very much so for that. And folks, that is my update for December of 2024, Christmas of 2024, and the start of January 2025. Can we believe we're in 2025? At the end of this month, 2 weeks, I'll have been doing this YouTube channel for 5 years. I started this in January 2020, sort of just, at the beginning of the the pandemic, really, before things had shut down. And I've been watching people like Flickpick and Chris Stuckman and Cinema Sickness and people like that for years, and thought I really want to have a go at it. And then stumbled across Elliot Cohen's channel, and hearing somebody from reasonably around my neck of the woods sort of making videos and talking about film was an inspiration as well, and almost a bit of a hang on, yeah, I can do this too, why not? And I remember I recorded a few videos with my mate Phil, when we used to make little vlogs or whatever, and put a couple of them up. And then my first, what I consider proper video on the channel, was me sat in the car doing a review of the film Deja Vu with Denzel Washington and Val Kilmer and Jim Caviezel, and it's bloody awful. Not that this is Oscar winning, of course, but it was absolutely bloody awful, by what I would say my standards are today. But I had such a good time making it, and then putting it on the computer and editing it, and prattling about and making my little intro that I still use to this day. And at the intro, I went on like an app that was like Intro Maker, and just stuck my my handle in a thing that sort of that I thought looked cool, and still use it to this day. And the do is actually a synth version, me just playing on my keyboard, of a song that I wrote for my old band, Leaving Overmorrow. The bass line goes bum 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 bum. I'm waffling a bit here, but there we go. I can't believe that it's been 5 years since I started this journey, and I've recently just passed 900 subscribers as well, which I'm over the moon about, and I'm very grateful to each and every one of you that's seen something in the channel and found me entertaining and engaging enough to go, do you know what, I'm going to subscribe, I'd want to see him again. So thank you genuinely so much from the bottom of my heart. My goal when I did it was that if I could get to 1,000 subscribers at some point, I'd be absolutely over the moon. And I think with 97 or something to go, 98 subscribers to go before that, it feels very reachable for the first time ever. So I'd really like to to hit that goal this year, and I'm going to try and bring you really engaging content to to keep you around and keep you entertained. If you've enjoyed this video, as always, give it that thumbs up. Lets YouTube know to keep making this sort of content for you. Please get involved in the comments down below. I've shown you obviously a reasonably healthy stack of films there, and I'd love to know your opinions on them or any recommendations you might have, as always. And if you're not already subscribed, please do think about subscribing. Of course, it helps my channel to grow, as I've just sort of said there, and helps me towards that goal of 1,000 subscribers. But it means that I get to know you over future videos as well, when we talk in the comments and we interact and stuff, which I really do enjoy. Above all else, folks, Happy New Year again. Stay safe and take care of yourself. I will see you again soon. Bye for now.